Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 7 Sharp. It is me, Blue. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, and me, Rose.
Hey,
Hi.
we're like the Richard and Judy of like gospel radio show talking, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are, yeah.
But we're not married, obviously.
We're not married, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't steal anything from was it Spar or Waitrose he robbed from someone?
Did he?
Yeah, Mr. Richard. Yeah, you seen he's still getting all these shows, but he's a thief.
I didn't know
He
that.
did, man. I mean,
Recently?
no, years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's a big thief. So I don't do that. I don't drink wine anyway. But anyway, I can do a mean dirty wine. But anyway, hi guys, welcome to the show today. If it's your first time joining us, then welcome. We hope that you enjoy everything that you hear on this show. And as always, we encourage you guys to give feedback and leave any comments, and we would definitely get back to you on all these social platforms. And thank you for all the support that you've given us so far in these last couple of shows. And as always, I always say this is going to be a great show, but they are just great shows. I enjoy listening back to them. I listen to it and think, oh, that's a good insight. Oh, I didn't really realize what we said there, or actually that's true. Or
I go like, I can't believe he just said that.
I don't do that. You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you guys and unapologetic. There are times I've said things that are cheeky and I find it hilarious. Like I'm driving, listening to the show sometimes, or I'm at work and I'm sniggering and people are like, what happened? And I'll usually say, this guy said, I'm not going to say it was
It's
me.
not you.
No,
Okay.
I don't. No. My name's Blue on here.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've got pay council tax outside of here, guys. But today we are talking on a show that I think if you're about to get married or you're dating and you're thinking actually the next steps for you is to go down the aisle and do that big thing. I was going to play Jagged Edge there, but I couldn't line the track up in time. So yeah.
Okay.
But if you think, now's the time to be getting married, and we're in marriage season now. So obviously in the UK, it's about to become August, summer. So a lot of people get married now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have high expectations on getting married and what are they going to do during this time. But polls show that it doesn't always work out the way they expect. So they're still talking about how there's high divorces, and a lot more people at the moment are more preferring to stay in a relationship and not marry because of the fear of if they do take that step to get married, then the relationship's just going to break apart. And I want to pull it out there that it's a myth. Marriage doesn't break people apart. People break people apart.
Yeah.
Marriage is a title or a role. Is it fair to say it's a role that we play, or is it just a title that covers the relationship?
Yeah, commitment to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, legal.
Okay, legal. So yeah,
Yeah.
so and it has its benefits as well. I got to
Yeah.
put that in there because obviously, if you're just dating, then rights-wise, you have very limited in regards to someone who's married. So put that out there. But yes, me and Rose thought today will be a good time to talk about what to prepare yourself for, or myths, or what we're going to call it.
I don't know.
I don't know, like we call it Mythbusters, or we could just say before you get married.
Yeah. For
These
now.
are some things. Yeah,
At the
before
end,
now.
if we come up with something else, then
Yeah.
we'll say it, and then that's
Yeah,
the title.
Like don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Don't do it. It's dangerous. Yeah. But we're going to say, okay, so before you get married, here's some of the things that we can look at now. Both myself and Rose, we're not married together. This is my sister. But we are married.
Yeah.
Okay. So my wife, Rose, has a husband, and we've all both been married for a period of time. How long have you been married for?
20 years this year.
20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Tirana Judge. All right. So 13 years in September for me.
Okay, so that's good.
So that's a good, but we've been
reckon.
together for 17 years.
Okay, so I reckon we could do this justice.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
know we have a fair knowledge of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think when we are talking about getting married, there's a few things that came to mind for me. I know that obviously being in church, there's a lot of things where I thought, if I'm going to get married, these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
So a lot of people used to say to me, "Did you love her? Then you should get married." Now realizing that's not a reason to get married.
Yeah.
It sounds really cheesy to say,
Yeah.
but because you love that person isn't a justifiable reason to
Yeah.
get married. I love
I agree.
chocolate, and if I eat a lot of chocolate, I'm gonna have no teeth and a real bad belly.
Yeah.
But I can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that you should still go and enjoy somebody, but actually there's got to be more to the reason of why you're giving a lifelong commitment to that person.
Yeah.
before you say I do. Because one of the things I've said to my wife before is, it sounds nice getting married and it sounds nice being together, but it ends really bad because if we commit to our vows, it ends with one of us dying. When you look at it from that way, it's like, wow, that sounds pretty scary. I don't want to get married.
Yeah.
The show isn't aimed to try and put you off. So if I said that and it scared you, I do apologize. It's just the truth. But there's so much more behind it. So I'm going to ask Rose, put on the spot. What were some of your reasons of getting married?
I think...
She's stunned.
I know. Should have prepped this. I think I felt ready to.
Okay.
And I believe that God had spoken to me and said it was the right time to.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share the rest of my life with someone.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just felt ready. This is the right time.
Yeah.
I think I was in my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said to you before,
Yeah.
I've had 5 children at the time. And it is difficult being a single mum.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a dad for them.
Yeah.
But I just wanted a complete family. And I
Yeah.
felt being married would potentially do that.
wholeness.
Whether
Okay.
right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
Wow, 20 years, can't say it's wrong.
Nah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, so, I mean, for myself, why did I get married? I think part of it, if I'm honest, was, well, let's start with the good things first.
Yeah.
So, because I thought, actually, this is the person, like you said, I want to be with this person, actually. I enjoyed the journey together. And I think if we're going to commit to this journey, then we're going to commit to it. So, marriage for me just felt like a great progression to go down. I felt like actually we're going to discover more about each other. We can do more of the fun things. I think, like you said, I enjoyed having, and maybe it's a guy thing, having joint names. So we both had the same surname. So I've seen friends when they've gone to weddings and other parties, and it's their first name and a surname, and someone else's, and they're like, you know, you look at the placemats and it looks a bit like, oh, okay, that's you're sitting, I'm sitting.
Yeah.
But when you come in and you sit down and it's your name and your wife's name with the same surname, you kind of feel like, yeah, this is us, this is our seat.
Yeah.
You can't question that because there's my surname, there's her surname. You can't get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just feels, it's a bit of an example to use, but, you know, we felt connected and as a package together.
Yeah.
But also I felt that actually this is someone who I feel will get me.
Yeah.
And on this journey will understand me. One thing I said to my wife before I asked her to marry me was, I can 100% promise you that it's not going to be easy, and there'll be many times to give up then continue.
Yeah.
But if you're prepared to try,
Yeah.
with a small percentage of staying with me,
Yeah.
we're having an amazing journey together in our life. And I still stand by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sounded romantic and it sounded cool.
Yeah.
Not going to lie, I started up a film. Not going to say which film. But I thought, you know what? This is, you know, something that's important. But, and I've said this many times on different podcasts, is there were reasons that I felt weren't to get married. So sex was number one.
Yeah.
I thought actually, you know, sexual isn't the reason for anyone to be together, because it only sustains for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And if that's your goal and you fulfill with it, then you're like, well, there's nothing more to discover. And so that's when I think the door can open to so much of the issues and so much of the dramas. Another reason I said I wouldn't marry her was for finances.
Yeah.
I mean, it weren't like she was born in rich anyway.
Yeah.
So they had no issues there. But someone was like, would you sign a prenup?
Really?
Yeah, they asked me that, and I was broke. So I didn't understand why they asked me that. But they were like, well, just say down the line, you made like loads of money, like you won the lottery, or you come into some kind of big, massive inheritance, and things ain't working well. You've got to give half of that. And I was like, I don't know why you're saying that. Like, I haven't got no inheritance, and if we did, and things went bad, well,
if you within your marriage, if you'd won the lottery, it's
joint ours, But then I said to the person, what if she wins the lottery?
Exactly.
And they were like, oh, yeah, but still, you and I was like, nah, that just sounds ridiculous to me. So
Bad
for me,
advice.
money was not the one to kind of get married. But there was lots of reasons why not to get married.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into mine just yet as to why. But
I think one of the other reasons why I married my husband now, in the short period of time that we did date, he became my best friend. And he still is. He still is my best friend. And we can talk about anything and everything. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why.
we reckon that's because of how long you've been together for, that you've built that? Because I know with a lot of people, in their relationship, it takes levels in it to get to that place where you can be comfortable and confident to have any conversation with your partner, because I know in the early years of me and my Sam's relationship, there were conversations where I was like, I don't want to know the answer to that, so I'm not going to ask. Or I don't want you to know the question. I don't want you to ask me any questions on those areas, so I'm not going to even bring up the conversation.
When you were dating?
Not when we were dating, but like, so there were conversations like, one time she had with me was, I was still friends with an ex. So it was like, well, do you talk to that person? I was like, well, yeah, we're friends. And it's like, okay, but should you be talking to an ex? And I was like, I don't see what's wrong with it. But then at first I was like, we're just friends.
Yeah.
But then I could see why it would cause a problem.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to friends saying, should you be talking to an ex-partner? And they were like, it's a bit of a difficult conversation because yes, well, what reason for it? And like, because we're friends. And they're like, but how important is the friendship with that ex?
Exactly.
To be in your current relationship now? Because actually, do you have any feelings for that person still? I was like, nah, I don't think so. Okay. And then they were like, well, the very fact you said you don't think so is a problem, because you should know so. You know what I mean? So the fact that you're unsure, that can sometimes be a opportunity for someone where if it doesn't work out, you can return to your ex because you've kept that pot sweet. And I didn't look at it that way. I was thinking you're keeping the pot sweet, but they're like, well, yeah, if the friendship's there and the relationship's there and you still know stuff about each other well enough that if it doesn't work out for yourself and they're available, you can pick off where you left off.
And that ex might be just waiting for that moment.
And that's exactly what they were saying.
Moment.
Yeah. And so, when you're vulnerable and you're like, I'm ready to get off. And they're like, oh, I would never treat you like that. It sounds good for a guy. And you're like, oh, actually, you treated me better than that. You know what? I'm G-O-T. No, that's got. It's a G-O-N-E. Wow, we can tell what time it is today, innit?
Do you think, because one of the things that I believe that, I'm going to say God, Holy Spirit, said to me before when I was dating my husband, you need to tell him about certain things in my past. You need to put your cards on the table. I'm not, at the time I didn't know why, but I did feel that was something that God was saying to me. Did you get that, or as you continued on in marriage, things popped up?
I think, so I got that in marriage a couple of years down the line, and that was because I didn't want to have the conversation. So I think and I think many guys can kind of agree to this one, is I think a lot of guys are insecure when it comes to relationships, because I think when we're married, in the guy's head, she's 100% me. Like in her world, I am Morris Chestnut or Shav and all these fancy, pretty guys that you might see on TV. In your head, as a guy, you're thinking to yourself, when she sees that guy, she sees me. And then you're like, and then until she says like, nah, I think that guy's pretty as well. And then you're like, oh, you cheater, you Jezebel. No, you're like, and even though they've done nothing wrong, you're like, I don't want to have that. So for me, when we had to have conversations of, like I said, ex-partners or things that you had in the past and stuff like that, I didn't want to be judged at first, because then I thought, well, if I tell her now, we might get divorced, or she might not be interested in me. But then it was a case of, I mean, the good thing is we had mentors. And I've always said to people, make sure you get mentorship. And my mentor was saying, well, how can you expect to live your life with somebody if they only know half of who you are? You know what I mean? It's like owning a house and having rooms that you can't access. So they were like, so if you're going to be with this person, they have to accept you wholeheartedly. Like the good and the dirty, not even the good and the bad, the good and the stuff where you're like, no one should ever know that story or know that about me. And so if they can accept you in all those areas, 100% they should be with you.
That's why I think God was saying to me, make sure you, good and bad, ugly, whatever, put your cards on the table.
Absolutely.
And I did do that, and I've got no regrets. And like he said, still 20 years and we're still together.
And I think a partner, and that's another thing that people need to understand, is when you're getting married or with somebody, is I've always said they're the gatekeeper of your secrets, your story, and who you are. Like, I think your partner will know stuff about you that your parents will never know, your children will never know. Like, that person's the person that's supposed to hold you down and say, you know what, I got you. And it sounds very airy-fairy, like that person, like, I got you, until you get me vexed and then I ain't got you. But I think that person's supposed to have you like completely 100% entrenched. And then, one day something might happen and someone needs to explain your story and who you are, and it's got to be that person.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing worse if someone else knows more about you than your partner. Then you got to question your reasons being together.
So do we agree on that point then?
100% we agree on that time together.
Discussions before, and even if it's hard ones, before you get married, about yourself.
Yeah. I think first of all, I always think before you get married, 100% you should be marriage counselled.
Okay.
I don't like the word marriage counsel. There should be a marriage discussion. And when I say marriage discussion, there should be, either have it together or there's counsellors or services that can do it. Brother. Where they sit down with you and just talk about expectations of being married.
Yeah.
So they should be going through finances, because no one should be getting married and then you find out that that person's got thousands and thousands of pounds of debt.
Yeah.
Because again, that just brings weight on the relationship. Or you jump in the relationship and you then find out they don't want children. Or like we talked about this earlier, that the reason they got married was because it gave them an opportunity to move out of home.
Yeah.
So we're married because you're my escape plan.
Yeah.
You're not my first choice in life. You're my third or second choice, because this marriage offers escapism.
Yeah.
It doesn't offer. Or, and I've seen this happen.
Yeah.
I'm getting on in age and I want children, and he was interested in me or she was interested in me, so I got married.
Okay.
Because then you're not really into that person, are you? I'm into that person for that reason. I'm not alone and I've got children.
Yeah.
But I don't really. I'm not into that person.
So, are you saying you should be upfront and say, "Look, I'm just marrying you because I want kids"? What are you saying? What are you saying?
I think. I think you should. Because
This
if
is
the guy
the
might
reasons
say,
why I want to marry you.
I want to
Be
marry you because I
upfront.
want children and have kids. And personally, if someone turns around and says that's fine, then I would definitely say you need to question that relationship, because once
They might want the same things.
Yeah, but then once the children are there, and I think for me, and I've never heard no one say this, I'm going to say it. Children are a two-sided coin. They're either something that would enrich your relationship or completely wreck it. That sounds harsh to say, but the truth is, it is, because I think when you have children, some people think it fits the family, so it makes our relationship and marriage look really great.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act, because when you've got to look after your children, particularly from a young age and growing up, and have a relationship and have your own self, that's 3 balls to juggle. So when do you have time for yourself? When do you have time for your relationship? When do you have time for your children? And some people are really good with the rhythm and can make that work. But then there's some people who, the spanner gets dropped in there, your partner gets made redundant, and so that person's home more than they have been. And so now it's, I've got to now manage the finances by myself. And so there's that next ball. So there's so much things to juggle. And I'm not saying children are to blame, but when you've got so much balls to juggle, but the reason for that relationship was because we wanted a family, then you're like, well, this isn't as simple as it looks. Okay. That's what I just think, personally. Okay. I'm not quoting anybody on that one.
I definitely, wrong reasons to get married.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I do think discussions around children before you get married, you should definitely have that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should jump into having children when you get married. I think give it a few years.
Get some time to know
really
each other.
get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the foundations of it. Because like you said, children can...
It can be a difficult one,
It can be a difficult, with children, yeah. So definitely get to know each other. Get 100%. Those roots deep in your marriage.
Yeah.
And talk about how you're going to raise these children as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who's disciplining, just things like that.
Did you have that conversation about who's the disciplinarian?
Well, because my husband's the stepfather, I had to continue to be that.
Oh, okay.
But he could tell them off.
But couldn't give them a beating?
Well, can't smack them anyway.
I think
you couldn't smack them, no.
Just give them a good little tap in the neck, like Hong Kong Phooey style.
But he could discipline them in other ways.
Oh, okay.
So, because there's other ways to discipline a child.
Yeah.
No pocket money, time out, no games for my son, his Xbox or whatever it was, PlayStation or whatever it was at that time. So there's other ways to discipline a child. But yes, he was allowed to do that the other ways.
And I think you've opened up an interesting door there, really, in terms of if you're thinking about getting married and that person has a family, then do they have more things to think about than someone who doesn't?
So if you bring in So like, I had family.
Yeah, so you're co-parenting and stuff like that. I mean, we've talked on stuff like that before.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go too deep in it because if you're listening to this show and you're wondering what's the answer for that one, please scroll down and look at some of the other shows. We have discussed that before. Yeah. So we won't go too deep into that one. Yeah. But yeah, I think it is a discussion in terms of, if you're marrying somebody who has a family already or has a family already, because obviously you're not just marrying that man or that woman, you're marrying that woman or man with children. And I think to some degree even marrying with the ex as well, because I know like I've got a family who's married and as they've got together, the parents are still involved in the children's life growing up. Yeah. And sometimes the other parent might make decisions that impacts your relationship because you're like, oh, why do they do that? And then it's like, but that's not your argument. That's something you should be unified in together and let the other person know that they can't mash up your marriage. Yeah. And I think that's important as well. So there's lots of factors that if you're going to get married that you need to really take in consideration, really.
Absolutely. I think one of the ones for me that I didn't take into consideration, I wish somebody had said to me to do a joint bank account so your bills come out of
one account.
We did it. I thought it was a really good idea. Yeah. You pay this set and I pay this set. And we still like that now. Yeah. But I do kind of think, actually, I think we kind of should have done the one account, put into that, and the bills come from there. That's
and you know what? I mean, me and my missus do that. We've got an account where the bills come out for the house and stuff, but we've still got our individual account. Yeah. And again, that's right. Big conversations about finances is the massive one. I think for me, I grew up in a home where I saw my mum hustle. Yeah. And so it was very much of that attitude of what you work for, that money's yours. And so I've seen my wife's spending habits. She's not one of them girls that go out glamour shopping, but she's a sporadic shopper. Yeah. So she might buy stuff where I might be like, what did you buy that for? But that's just going to be in your wardrobe or in their house, just gathering dust. And then you're like, you paid how much for it? And so in my head, I'm thinking, we can't have joint money because if you spend that money and it's both of our money and I see it sitting there, I'm going to get a bit vexed and frustrated because I'm going to be like, see, that could have
gone towards the gas.
Holiday, car, or that could have been something other than what you've got it for. Yeah. I mean, true story, she's going to kill me for this story.
You sure you should say it?
I'm going to say it because I've been saying it since we married. So I remember one time, and this shows how much I love my wife, is my mum went to States. This was years ago before we got married. And my mum went to States and she called me and said, listen, I'm in New York and miss up one shop and you've got an option. So you've got these trainers that I can buy you. Now, some guys are going to hear this and go, oh, I got some trainers that I can buy you, or I can buy you, Sam, this jacket and say it's from you. So it's the money that I'm giving to you, but I'm buying it between these two items. So I said, let me see the trainers. So these trainers were Jordans. Okay. Jordan exclusives. Yeah. And I looked at the Jordans and I was like, those look absolutely lovely. Yeah. I want them. But then she saw me, this baby fat, you might remember Fat Farm? No. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Well, for those that remember Fat Farm and Baby Fat, it was a massive brand from Russell Simmons. Yeah. And he started this brand like K-Swiss and Fat Farm and stuff like that. So it was a very popular jacket at the time. We're going back to Aaliyah days and stuff like that where you look at the part. So my mum said, you can have this jacket or have these trainers. And I was like, I want to show her how cool I am and dedicated. Get the jacket. Ooh, and you got the jacket. Wow. She wore it once and gave it away. I was so devastated that I was like, I would still have them Jordans now. Like those, we're talking over 10 years ago.
And he's still holding it.
I'm still, but she says that to me as well. She's like, why are you still holding on to that story? I'm like, I can't. Because every time I think about them Jordans, I think, oh my gosh, I could have had some Jordans. You know what I mean? And now I've got children and now I'm looking at as the trainers. Yeah. But you know, that's the struggle. But that's why I looked at dedication. Now, for some people, I've joked with friends like that and they were like, I would have dumped her for that. And I was like, seriously? Wow. They're like, wow, do you understand Jordans and the value and that's materialism? But and again, this is another thing you think about when you're getting married is the circle of friends. Because if I went into that, then I could have very much been like, you know what, you're right. No, she don't value me. I gave a pair of Jordans for this lady and she wants to go and give it. We're done. go away, and then you're in trouble. You know what I mean?
Thank God you didn't listen.
Thank God I didn't listen. But then there's also people that spoke to my wife, where at the time I was very much hanging out with my friends and my boys. We were together when we were very young. And she was very much like, he's always with his friends, they're always around the house.
Yeah.
That's the issue for her. And there's other bits and pieces. And someone, again from the church, well, I shouldn't say again from the church, but from the church must have said to her, I can't see this working out for you guys. Now, if Sam followed with that information, she could have walked away and would never be together.
Do you think you've got to be careful who you're listening to?
You've got to be massively careful who you listen to, because some people just feel entitled to tell you stuff and thinking it's the right advice to give. And they don't, as I like to say, some people are looking through a telescope when you should, not telescope, a microscope, when they should be looking for a telescope. Telescope will show you further differences. Some microscope will show you smaller, and small-minded people only show you what they tell you what they can see in the moment. Whereas you want people who can really look into your life and say, you know what, projecting-wise, I can see you guys having an amazing future, but it's work. But you don't always get those type of people, and that's what you got to be careful of.
So where are we so far? So we definitely be careful who we're listening to.
Who you're listening to. So your friends, like my mum said, show me your friends, I'll show you future. Finances, we've said, you should really be sitting down and talking about that one.
Before you get married.
Way before you get married. Any kind of baggage or secrets that you hold.
Just put it on the table.
Also, I'm going to come back to that one.
Okay.
There's one where I was like, be careful. Should you be careful how much information you give about your history? No, you should give it all out.
If you're planning to marry, spend the rest of your life with this person. I do believe. But put it on the carpet.
I know some people be worried about how they're perceived and seen, but you're right. If you're looking to spend your life with this person, then like we said, they're going to take you for the good and the ugly. So you're absolutely right on that one.
I think it's only fair that you give them all the information. So I need to give my husband all the information he needs to make that decision on whether he wants to marry me. Yeah,
I totally agree. And where else did we get to on that one?
Can't remember. What else did we say?
We've said so much. We've said a lot. We see. We're at a stumble. While we think about it, actually, we're going to go to a quick track. We're not going to play the whole track because we're not too far from the end of the show. But this track, we're dedicating to Roger. And the reason we're dedicating this one to Roger is we were discussing a classic, well, I thought they were classic, they're still going. Classic for me, gospel group, Dorkin and Dawkins. Only to discover they're still singing and they've just brought out an album. Yeah, who knew?
All right.
Well, we're going to see. Here's a track. We think it's we'll let you guys decide on this one. This is Rose's favourite.
Perfect, but I'm trying. I lose my way once in a while. But because of the grace you keep on showing me, let me know I'm gonna be okay and everything gonna be alright. That emotional plea I hit you with now and then. If you get me out of this, I'll never do it again. And all I can say is I'm thankful today. I'm amazed at how you love me this way. And I know that you're not finished, but I think I'm gonna need a minute. Cause you got me all up in my feelings. Ain't nobody ever done the things you're doing for me. You're doing for me. You got me all up in my feelings. Ain't no getting around it. If I really think about it, you're just what I need. You got me all up in my feelings. Nothing else for you to prove, but you keep on coming through. That's what you do. So don't ever change. I really like feeling this way, and I've never been so willing. All up in my feelings. Now who said a man was not supposed to cry? It must have been somebody that didn't have you in their life. Cause it don't take a whole lot for me to have to pull over so I can dry my eyes. Cause I remember the time I could have lost my life. And it chokes me up every time. And all I can say is that I'm so thankful today. Still amazing how you love me this way. And I know that you're not finished, but I think I'm gonna need a minute. Cause you got me all up in my feelings. Ain't nobody ever done the things you're doing for me. You got me all up in my feelings. Ain't no getting around it. If I really think about it, you're just what I need. You got me all up in my feelings. Nothing else for you to prove, but you keep on coming through. That's just what you do. So don't ever change. Cause I really like feeling this up in my feelings.
Okay.
I bet my life on, and can't nobody tell me different.
That was Dawkins and Dawkins, In My Feelings. What do you think, Rose?
Nice and calm, I can hear the words. Unlike some of the other ones that you've put up previously.
I think the ones I've done before have been amazing.
Okay.
I'm not well, this isn't a show about music, but I'm a massive Dawkins and Dawkins fan.
But you were disappointed with this one.
I don't know if I should use the word disappointed. I wouldn't have it at my wedding. I just say that actually. But big up to Dawkins and Dawkins. If you guys are listening, we are loving you guys. If you want to come on the show, don't take what Rose said too offensive. But to recap again, if you've just joined the show, we're talking about before you get married. We're still looking at a title we can use. Rose is thinking about it. But before you get married, we talked about some of the areas to consider and to think about before you say I do. One question that comes to mind before we recap in terms of what we've said. You might be old-fashioned on this one. Is it the lady's is it the man's responsibility to ask the lady? Are we staying traditional? Or I don't know. Is it wrong for the lady to ask and pursue?
I'm not saying it's wrong. I just say, from my point of view, my opinion, he should be asking me. A guy should ask the girl, and I'd hope a guy would ask my daughters. I'd hate to think my daughters would propose to someone.
Say that again. I think your microphone was off.
Was it?
It was off all that time? Oh, wow. Welcome back to the show. For those that are listening, it's Rose. So you were saying, sorry, so you would hate for your daughters to ask the guy, or?
Yeah, because you're saying, is it traditional for the guy to ask the woman? Yeah, I think they should.
I don't know.
I think they should. Will you marry me? Yeah. And I wouldn't want my daughters to ask a man that
would
question.
Would you have asked your husband?
No.
Do you think he would have said yes if you did, though?
Yes, he would have. But I think he would have been uncomfortable with the fact that I've asked.
You know what? If Sam asked me, I wouldn't be uncomfortable, but I wouldn't tell people she asked me. I'd just say we're engaged.
Exactly. So that means you're uncomfortable with it. Otherwise, you would have said it.
Probably, but
not probably. No, definitely.
Well,
so you should have asked.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's something I need to think about, actually.
Absolutely.
But actually thinking about, no, I think I would tell people that Sam asked.
If you can confidently say, she asked me.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Yeah. But I think the reason some guys might look and be like, nah, I'm not telling people that, because of society's expectations and tradition. That's why I said, are you traditionalist in terms of that now? And the reason I say that is because some people might say, well, I'm going to ask because he's not going to ask me. Some guys like to drag their heels. And I think for some guys as well, it's easy to ask with no intention of getting married.
Yeah.
So, for instance, and there's the age-old excuse of, I shouldn't call it an excuse, but reasons then of, I've asked her to marry me, and 6-7 years down the line, we're still engaged.
Yeah.
It's debatable, and
he ain't got no intention.
Is that? Yeah, I mean, it sounds a bit harsh, like saying, because some people might want that flamboyant wedding and that big car and that expensive day. Should have got married in COVID because it was cheaper, but do you need that big lavish day to get married? I think you'd be
surprised. A lot of the younger people now are saying, I just want something simple. I think you'd be surprised.
I think, you know what? I think there's a lot of young people, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, but some young people are bougie, and you kind of want a wedding day to show off.
Yeah.
Which for me, is a red flag. Because if your wedding day is about showing how good you look and how amazing, if you can afford it, that's great. I know people who got married and they spent a ridiculous amount of money for the wedding day, and they've been married for 12 years and they're still paying off the wedding.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous because then it's not about it's about showing off. I'm just going to say it as it is. It's about showing off and showing, having people have a great time. And in 12 years, so much has changed. You're still paying for a one-day event. Yeah. And you're going through a whole bag of dramas.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Hanging on a shoestring still. No, definitely. I think we just need to encourage younger people, older, that aren't married, to spend more time and preparation in not the day, but the marriage.
Yeah, I mean, ask the question, if I had to get married again, if I get married, if me and my wife redid our wedding, there'd be so many things that look different.
And me.
Like, oh man.
I said that as well.
So much things would
Less
look different.
people.
Yeah. Oh,
I would.
they be? Probably,
I would,
actually.
I would.
I think other people would be invited to my wedding.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't invited. But I think now being married for so long, I understand the value of the day and the reason for it. So it's not about looking glam and cool. And the thing is, because you look on social media like Instagram, and I've seen so much weddings on there where it looks like a nice, amazing party, and they've done some kind of rehearsal of how they're coming down the aisle and the dancing, and it looks good for Instagram. Go back there 6 years later, and you'd be like, wow, I can't even get in that suit, and I don't remember them routines, and I'd rather remember that routine than the lifestyle I'm living right now. You know what I mean? So it's not, and so for those that think about getting married, it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, and some people might be like, I'm against this, but you've got registry offices.
I've been to registry office.
I have gone to many weddings at registry office.
I didn't like it.
You know what? I think at the end of the day, you're married. And I think that's the important thing is it's not about you can get some decent looking registry offices. Yeah. Because it's what you save for the wedding you can spend on the honeymoon.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
What you make work for you guys. I mean, I saw some weddings at particularly throughout COVID where weddings were very much shrunk. And it was about who can we have there to be part of our special day. Yeah. And I get that you want sentimental people being there, like grandparents and people that you think might not be around for so long. And so I get the importance of that one. But when it's about how classy and how I look on the day, I'm not saying you can't have a good looking day. Have a nice day. But if it's not within your means, save. You know what I mean? If it's not within your budget, work at it. Yeah. Because the wedding day is nice, but if you got nowhere to live afterwards, then why? You know what I mean? And one thing I said earlier as well before camera was, when you're dating the person, but when you marry the family. And I think that's another thing you should be looking at is that person's relationship with their family as well. Because actually, that's something you're marrying into. Those people are not just going to be there for the day and disappear. Are they part of your partner's family? I mean, lifestyle, is it conflict? Is it happiness?
I always say to look at the relationship, some of my daughters, look at the relationship that your prospective husband has with the mother. That's really important. Look at that. Because if he's rude and disrespectful to his mother, he's going to be rude and disrespectful to you.
I totally agree with that one. Yeah. Unless the mum brings out the wrong side of the person.
No. Respect your mother. She brought you into the world. Respect your mother.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know.
Absolutely respect her.
But also, not even that then. Does she respect you? And I think, and this is going to be for a different show, is maybe, does that have an impact on multicultural marriages? So if someone's married someone outside of their faith or their culture, does that have an impact? And the reason I say this is because I know of somebody who got married in a relationship with somebody who culture-wise was different. They were black, their family was Asian, and they would slag off the person in their native tongue to the son and to family while the person's sitting there. And the guy didn't protect his missus and eventually found out, and it caused massive issues. But apparently that was happening before they got married, and so that's why it's important that you are very honest and open and you learn about your partner, because again, like the in-laws and the family could be the one that damage your marriage. Sometimes it's not even about you two, it's the environment that you put your marriage in.
If it becomes toxic.
Absolutely. So we're chucking out loads of nuggets here.
I know. Back to the mum. Bible says to honour your mother and
100%,
father.
yeah.
So there's no excuse. He doesn't say if they're nice to you,
still respect them.
then honour them.
I just start marrying to them. No, I'm joking.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
just
100%.
Just look at it. We're just going to give some advice. Just have a look at the relationship.
No, I agree. And I think one thing that you said while the track was playing as well is your faith as well. I think your faith will get you through a lot of things in your relationship. And so God 100% is first. Again, if you scroll down and listen to one of these shows with Gail Crowder, she made it very clear that the order to her view, and I agree with it as well, of relationship and marriage is God first, your spouse, then your children, and then everybody else underneath that. And so it's got to be within order. There's got to be a foundation that your relationship is sitting on. And for those that don't have a faith, then, again, you can look into it. but there's got to be some level of strong foundation that your relationship can sit on. I mean, again, put my own personal stuff out there. I always said to my wife that we have to practice being friends as well as being a husband and wife, because if things don't work out, then I want to retain a friendship, not an enemy. And so much people, when they break up, it's fisticuffs, man. It's messy, man. So always work on that friendship.
Back to what you're saying with Christ being at the centre. I think that is so important. And
Absolutely.
I think that would be my number one advice to go away with today. Make sure, even as you're preparing to get married, that God is at the centre there, and then take him into the centre, into the marriage. I know that if God wasn't at the centre of my marriage, I doubt we'd still be together.
Yeah, same.
Doubt very much.
Absolutely.
You know, so definitely.
And I think also get like, don't use the word discipleship, but people that you can really have in your corner. And for me and my wife, we had mentors strong in their faith who we could go to and be completely open. And it was non-judgmental, very supportive and very open. And I think it was their advice, their support and their care that helped us through so many journeys that we still today talk about the things that they did. And so, again, if you haven't got that kind of thing, then please, you can access local churches. It doesn't matter about denomination, hopefully. But, you know, there should be a good local church that can support.
There's a book called Praying Wife, Praying Husband. I can't remember the author, Smokey something, but I've got Praying Wife, and it's a wonderful book, and I've read it quite a few times.
Oh, okay.
So
we should start doing some books on this show, innit?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a book I looked at, didn't read it all. Marriage on the Rocks from Jimmy Evans. I like his stuff. And then there's the 5 Love Languages. That's a good book. And again, for those that are not aware of love languages, 100% something we've got to cover in a show, because it's shocking for me that there's still people to this day that don't know what a love language is. I
found out, I think my children were doing the quiz with me and my husband about 2 years ago, I think it was. And so he went first. And so that we was asking him the questions. And as I heard the answers, I was like, huh? Because I didn't know about the love language. And I ended up in tears, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because answer after answer was about spending time with me, spending time with me, spending time with me.
That was his love language.
That was his. I didn't know. Why
did you think his love language was?
Well, say for instance, let me give you an example. If I went away from work and I was on my way back, I'd potentially stop at the shop to go and get him something. And then bring that back, and I've probably wasted another few hours out there trying to get him something nice and bring it back, when all he wanted was
you to come home.
I didn't know. So he's answering all these questions, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've not been the wife that you wanted me to be.
I didn't know.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that was his love language. He's got it right. Mine's once.
I love your husband. Yeah, he's like a local Ruben Stoddard. When I first saw him, I thought he looks like Ruben Stoddard.
Oh yeah,
he does. Yeah. I'm sorry, 2000. But anyway, so yes, I totally agree with that.
I definitely we should agree to add that to our list.
Love languages.
Before you get married.
Know their love language.
Know your love language.
That's yes. Actually, you know what? Stamp that in there. Yes. And if you're not sure what love languages are, please Google it. We will be doing a show on it in the future. But love language is about how you communicate with your partner. And how they communicate with you. And sometimes people, like Rose just said, communicates the wrong type of love or don't understand it. Yeah. So there's things like quality of time, and there's
I think there was the touch. I think. And
I think there's a
Reformation.
Reformation, gifts. There's 5. I think there's added 6 now as well.
Oh, is it? Oh, I need to go back and have a look at that.
There's mainly 5, but there's a 6th one that they've put on there. I don't really. The 6th one is for modern day time.
Is it?
Okay. I think it's rubbish, really.
I'll have a look at that.
Well, yes, love languages is massively important. Something that you totally should be looking at,
absolutely,
guys, before you get married.
But top God.
100%. And that's just not even just marriage. That should just be your life in general. Yeah. So there we are. So guys, we have come to the end of the show. Please let us know your thoughts on this one, and if there's any information you would like to you need from us, then please put in the comments below and we will definitely get back to you. It's Rose's turn this week.
To comment?
Yeah, your comments this week.
All right. Okay, I will.
Yeah, so you'll get Dr. Rose with the comments. Also, let us know if you enjoyed the Dawkins and Dawkins track. I'm interested to know about that one. Rose liked it. You know what I'm offended about? Rose likes the Dawkins and Dawkins track, but for the last couple of weeks, my tracks, she's been like, they're all right. Like,
I think, like I said, I couldn't hear the words. It's all they jumbled up and hyped up stuff.
You can hear the words. You know we're going to bring some... Okay, no, we're not bringing it up. But guys, we've enjoyed being with you guys, and we hope that you take something from this. And again, let us know your thoughts. So from me and Rose to you,
see ya.
Goodbye. God bless.
Bye.
And this is that garage music from Rose. Peace.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Hi, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy. See you soon.